In this video, I want to share with you how my biggest failure turned into my biggest success. I'm Devin Rodriguez, founder of Storypreneur, and we teach entrepreneurs all over the globe how to use the power of storytelling to grow their business. So for those of you that don't know, I am in the United States Army. And back in 2021, I was scheduled to go to US Army Ranger School, which is touted to be the top and the toughest leadership school in the entire United States military. Now, I was very, very confident going into this 62-day long course. Why? Because I had been a high performer, could run fast, could be athletic, could do all of these different things. And I was so confident that I was going to pass this. It was honestly a no-brainer in my mind. So school started on February 1st, and prior to the start date, we had to go into quarantine for 2 weeks, so I was stuck in some barracks for 2 whole weeks. Finally, on February 1st, the school began and we started off with a physical fitness test. And I crushed a physical fitness test and did really well. And then after that, we had to go down to Victory Pond where we had to perform a swim test. Now, here's the thing. It was February 1st and it was 28 degrees outside. Now, I had always been a good swimmer, good enough to pass swimming tests in pools where there is a controlled temperature, but I had never did a swim test outside in 28-degree weather. So we're doing the swim test and there's a total of 3 different events. The first event is where you climb up a 35-foot ladder and you have to cross a beam that is about this thick. It's only as wide as your shoe. And I was terrified crossing it, but luckily I did it. Second thing you have to do is you have to go down a zip line. That was actually a lot of fun. But the third thing was what we call the ditch and don. Now the ditch and don is when you jump into the water and you have a vest that is on you. But the thing is that there is a weapon attached to it and it's not buckled to you. So the point is you jump into the water, the vest is around you, so when you go into the water, you're supposed to go underneath the water, submerge yourself, lift your arms up in the air, the vest will come off of you and you're supposed to take it off and then swim 15 meters and you're done. Well, like I said, it was 28 degrees and I had done no practice for swimming, jumped into that water and my body immediately freaked out. I started hyperventilating. I thought I was gonna drown and I quit. See, here's the thing about Ranger School. They give you 2 attempts at the swim test. So after I got out of the water, they told me to go stand by a fire pit where there was a fire blowing. It was supposed to heat me up and it didn't do a damn thing. If I'm being honest, it got me a lot colder. But I made up my mind by that fire pit that I was gonna go back into the water and prove to myself that I was not a quitter, that I was gonna be able to do this and I wasn't going to allow my body and my mind to control me, but I was gonna control my body and my mind. So I went ahead, got ready to go back into the water and I jumped into the water and immediately I started to freak out again. Started to hyperventilate, started to go crazy, think I was gonna drown, but I said, Devin, you're okay. And I started to go and I started to swim after I got the vest off of me, but I don't know what happened and I quit. They stuck out a yellow pole as I thought I was gonna drown and I grabbed onto the yellow pole, quickly released it because I knew that if I touched the yellow pole, that would indicate that I quit, but I didn't wanna quit. So I grabbed it, quickly let go, but then they said, you just touched the yellow pole, you're done. And I said, no, please, 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 let me keep swimming. Look at me, I'm swimming. And I kept swimming. And they said, son, grab the pole, you're done. And there I was on day 1 of 62 fail. Now here's the thing I didn't tell you. That before I started Ranger School, I went on Instagram and I told the whole world that I was going to pass. That I was gonna come back in 62 days with what we call my Ranger tab. It's the kind of like the certification that shows that you went through Ranger School. So there I was, day 1 with my luggages, calling my girlfriend on the phone saying, you're gonna have to pick me up. And as I got in the car, I said, well, what am I gonna tell Instagram? Well, I did what I thought was best and I just went and I told everybody I failed. Because if I wanna live up to my successes, I also have to own up to my failures. But have you ever had a time in your life where you experienced something that was maybe a failure, but you had a voice that came to you and said, this was for the better, that something big is coming as a result of this? So what did I do? Not only did I tell Instagram that I failed, but a couple of days later, I posted a story on my Instagram with a black background. And this is all that it said. I just received the best news of my life. Now I had people calling me, texting me, what's the good news? What's the best news? And I didn't respond to any of them. Not because I'm mean, but because I did not have any news. I just believed in the fact that something big was going to happen so much to the point where I wanted to just publicly proclaim it and profess it. So a couple of weeks went by and I came across this app called Clubhouse, a new social audio platform that was out at the time, and I joined it. Now, a thing for you to know about me is that earlier on in my life, I was bullied for many years. And there was one person in particular that I listened to, a motivational speaker that inspired me, Les Brown. And when I went on Clubhouse for the first time, guess who I saw on Clubhouse hosting his own space talking about speaking? Les Brown. So I immediately had a fangirl moment and was like, oh my God, Les Brown. And I started having this major fangirl moment. And then I started to listen more and more and more after I gained my composure. And he started to talk about a new program that he was having at the time called Hungry to Speak. I got so excited. I said, I'm gonna work with Les. I'm gonna join his coaching program, until he got to the price. And that's when he said, it only cost $297 a month. Now I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you, but for me, as a 21-year-old at the time, that was a lot of money. I could not think of potentially spending $297 a month. Just joining the US Army, I didn't think I could afford it. I'd never invested money in myself, ever. So I did what I thought was best, and I called my dad and I said, Dad, Les Brown is offering a coaching program. He said, son, great, join it. I said, there's one problem. He said, what is it, son? I said, well, it costs $297 a month. And he said, Devin, you want me to lend you the money? I said, no, Dad, you've done enough for me. So then he said these words to me that changed my life. Figure it out. So what did I decide to do? I took out a credit card that I had got when I was 18 that had 30% interest on it, and I stared at it. And I asked myself this particular question. Are my goals and my dreams worth $297 a month? Although it's scary, although I'm terrified, although I don't know if I'll be able to pay it, is it worth figuring it out? And the answer was yes. I put the $297 a month on the credit card, and it turned out to be the best decision of my life. A couple of days into the program, I received an email that said, sign up for a one-on-one call with somebody on the team. It was just another email, basically like an onboarding email. So I signed up for a time and I got on the Zoom call. And when I got on the Zoom call, I almost lost my mind because it just wasn't anybody on the team. Guess who was sitting there on the other side of the screen? Les Brown. You want to talk about a fangirl moment? That's what I had in that moment. A fangirl moment. Before he said hi, before he said anything, he just asked me this question. He said, son, what do you want to do with your voice? And without hesitation, I said, I am going to be the greatest speaker in the world. See, at the time, I wanted to be this big motivational speaker, an ambition that I don't really have anymore because I believe motivation is temporary. But I told him I'm going to be the greatest speaker in the world. And then he said these words, son, let's get to work. And that has resulted in a relationship with my childhood hero. Somebody that I can now call on the phone that I once dreamt of only meeting. Why? Because I made a decision that I was not going to allow that number of $297 a month to be bigger than me, that I was going to be bigger than that number. So now when I am faced with an opportunity to invest in something, I don't look at it as this is a cost. I say, this is an investment, and this is an opportunity for me to prove to myself right here, right now, that I will not allow this $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 to be bigger than me. Although I don't have it, I'm gonna figure out how to make it work. So my biggest failure, failing Ranger School, turned into my biggest success because it provided me with a mentor that's changed my life. If it was never for him, I would never do what I do now, which is teach people how to tell stories. He helped me transform my voice so much that other people started to come to me and say, Devin, can you teach me how to do it? But it was only after that one decision. So I want to encourage you, what is the one decision that you've been putting off that you need to take action on? Because you know that if you take action on it, your life will never be the same. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button down below if you liked it. If not, I mean, that's totally cool too, because I know you're going to come back. See you in the next video, my friend. Thanks for being here.